So what I wanted to hear was just in your words, the story you told me about when you first started in the business, and you went into the jewelry store, and the lady was in tears after you were there for a while. And when was that? Do you remember the year?
1976, about October 1976.
And whose jewelry shop was it?
John's Jewelers, Bountiful, Utah.
And just start from there, when you walked in and why you were there.
Well, Mr. Frank Davis and myself formed a diamond company called DWR Diamonds. Mr. Davis was the president, I was the vice president. Mr. Davis was the majority stockholder, I was the minority. And we dealt with what we call ideally shaped diamonds. Diamonds shaped to a very particular shape, so maximum fire, brilliance, and scintillation comes from the stone. There are a set of jewelry stores who specialize in that particular shape, called AGS Jewelers. One of them was John's Jewelers in Bountiful. I called on him once before. This is my second call. Second time I called on him.
So you established a rapport with him a little bit already.
Yes. And he wanted to look at some half carats. I walked in, and I was on one part of the case, and it was not the case, part of the case that the public came to so much. And we began, and this young lady walked in, about 25, 26 years old. And John said, I must pay attention to this person. She's a special client, and I got to leave you for a while. But I could see and hear what's going on. Apparently her mother died. I presume in her late 50s, early 60s. And her mother had a brace of jewelry. Pearls, 3 or 4 or 5 rings, a beautiful brooch.
And she was there to sell that jewelry or have it appraised? Or
She wanted it appraised to give to the sisters and a sister-in-law. The daughters and a daughter-in-law, excuse me. And John gave him her report. He had it all written out, but he gave her some verbal edification of what was written. And it wasn't very pretty. I guess she bought the stones from places of lower quality, stores of lower quality, and the stones were improperly shaped.
So it wasn't very valuable.
No, and the pearls had what are called dimples on the nacre. The nacre should be smooth and creamy, and they were dimpled, and so forth. And John is a man who does not mix words. He doesn't sugarcoat things. He's a highly professional jeweler. He's probably dead by now. I don't know. Anyway, she began to cry. And she said these words, which I'll never forget. John, this is not jewelry. This is my mother.
And that affected you and how you've done business with your collectibles and
It
diamonds.
still does.
And how exactly did that affect you when you heard her say that?
Well, whatever DWR Diamonds sold, American Golden Diamond sold, Gemmark Consultants sold, had to be of the highest quality. It wasn't hard because Mr. Davis, he was set that way. That was his mold. But we didn't make a pact, you might say, but from that day on, I always encouraged the finest money I could buy.
What were you thinking in your head when you heard that lady say that? I mean, that definitely made a big impact on your career and what you've done since, you know. And as far as your own personal ethics, what did that instant tell you in your mind?
I can tell you very easily. The piece of jewelry is a legacy piece. We're not talking about a car, which will someday be cat food cans. We're talking about something to be handed down from mother to daughter, from daughter to son, for 1, 2, 3, 4 generations. Thus, I don't see a piece of jewelry, I don't see what I sell to people as a product. I see it, I like to be in the legacy business. I am in the legacy business. I create legacies.
Well, you've got a great collection, and that's exactly what I think any customer would want to hear. That it's so important to you. What you sell is of high quality, and you seem to enjoy it so much.
I love it. I've always loved it.
And it's a lot of fun.
I've loved it since 1976. I loved it the first time, my first trip. Look on my webpage, you can see my first car, 72 Buick, and my first suit.
And if you had to look at anybody buying something from you in one sentence, how would you convince them that they're getting the best product at the best price?
Well, basically, what I would tell them is that if a spot in the Rutherford collection that has my stamp of approval, and it has that certain something I figure is worthwhile, and is a legacy piece.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Rutherford.